Hello, my name is Brian Kirsch, and today for this additional content, I want to kind of just touch on something about a world event, but how it relates to technology. And specifically, I want to talk about censorship. And different organizations, different countries, for whatever reason, will censor content. It's, mostly political, what have you. But you're seeing this being done at a nationwide, a nation state level. And I just want to touch on that a little bit. Not the ethics of it or anything else. That's for your political science classes or something else. I want to talk about the technology and how this is being done and how it gets circumvented. Because one of the things is when you attempt to lock down information, you can easily ban, Facebook. It's the URL, piece of cake to ban. What gets a lot harder is when you ban it, whether it's a secure socket layer, meaning it's an encrypted tunnel, VPNs, virtual private networks, or when it's embedded in something else. Once you once you have a platform that's that large and you have the ability to get to it multiple different ways, it becomes a lot harder to ban that type of stuff. And it's one thing to ban a platform, it's another thing to ban, let's say, news. If you're trying to ban an event, whatever it is, for whatever reason, it can come at you from so many different ways. And the problem with that is there's ways to scrub, what comes into a company. Companies do that with pornography sites and all that. They look for keywords, and this site is listed as, banned, what have you. You can do that because you're not talking about a lot of people on the inside. You're not talking about typically tens of thousands of people. You're talking about hundreds to maybe 1,000 or two. That is controllable, and that is something that the hardware devices can handle. When you start looking at it from a nation state, and you're talking about millions of people, it's not that you can't put filters on there in that, but what does it do to the speed? What does it do to the performance? If you go to click on a web page and it takes 20 minutes, and that's because your hardware is catching up or you're doing content filtering, that gets noticed. I mean, that becomes a big issue. Now, obviously, if there's a dictatorship involved, what have you, and that, again, it's the political side of it. Maybe that doesn't matter. But when you go to adjust your internet and try to purge different things, that is problematic. And various countries have done that to scrub certain events out of history and all that in a particular country. But it always creeps back in. And it creeps back in because unlike just banning like a Facebook or Twitter, you're trying to ban a piece of news that can take a variety of different formats. And you're seeing how this, can leak back in pretty easily. Um, that's because technology, at the end of the day, always finds a way. And it becomes a race between people doing censorship and people that are trying to break it. Now, it's always a, who's first type thing. But what you tend to find is the people looking to break the rules, since they're not confined to the same rule set, it can be, they can have an edge. Plus, a lot of people tend to think outside the box, which is pretty unique. And it's hard to defend against everything because you don't know what's potentially could be done. It's easier to, you see a leak and then you go adjust it versus I'm going to defend against everything that anyone could possibly think of. That's not how that works. There's no way to do that. So the whole censorship thing and everything going on, there's definitely the whole political side of that. But from the technology side, it's always going to be a cat and mouse game. But the mouse is always going to be a step ahead. The cat catches up eventually, or gets closer. But usually, it's kind of fighting a battle that's really difficult to win unless you just take it away from everybody. And once you do that, that can be pretty devastating, and it gets pretty well noticed. So, just a little bit on censorship in that. Thank you.